Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Creativity. Thanks for joining us today. I'm very excited for my guest speaker today, Laurie Marshall. Laurie has so many interesting things going on around creativity and the transformative power of creativity to really create a better world, which is, of course, so important. And so, welcome, Laurie. We're going to have a great discussion today. And I also want to mention to our viewers that the live chat is up. If anyone wants to post a comment or a question, feel free to do that. And if the show is ended and you're watching this at a later time, go ahead and post your questions or comments. I'll make sure that Laurie sees those. So, welcome, Laurie, and I'm anxious to get started.
I'm very glad you're here. And you're in Pittsburgh and I'm in El Paso.
Yeah, you're a little low, Laurie. I don't know if you can adjust your volume.
Okay, let's see. Yep. How is that? Is that better?
It's a little bit better. You're still just a tiny bit low. If it goes any higher, it'd be great.
Okay. Let me check here. My sound.
I think we're pretty good. I mean, we can hear you.
Okay. Is this good? That's
Yeah,
a little.
that's good.
Okay.
That's very good.
Yes.
So, Laurie, by way of introduction, why don't you tell us some of the things that you head and lead and what you're involved in because they're really around creating peace and, as I said, creating transformation through art. And so I find that very interesting. And I know you belong to certain communities that are based on some of those ideas.
I am a native of Pittsburgh and I grew up in the Quaker meeting there, which gave me my interest and mission to find that of God in everyone and to treat all life with respect and to make a peaceful world. I saw Martin Luther King when I was 10 at a Friends General Conference in Cape May, New Jersey, and I was totally transformed by hearing his voice. I didn't actually see his being because I was too short. And he said that people of all colors can love each other like sisters and brothers. And that guided me for the last 62 years. And I teach what I need to learn. Somebody defined peace as conflict done well, and I still don't do it as well as I want. And I have found art to be an amazing tool, both as a self-reflection, and I'm an extreme extrovert, so knowing what my inner experience is very challenging for me. And art has helped me understand what I'm experiencing. And then it also helps us connect to each other. When we express our feelings, we can learn more about each other and trust each other more. So in 2001, I founded the Unity Through Creativity Foundation, which is based on the idea that we can come together through our creativity and not through our force, not through punishment, not through bribery, not through manipulation, but through our creativity. And this organization has a flag project that I also founded called the Singing Tree Project, Mural Project, which began in 1999 when a little girl said, "What if the whole world made a painting together?" And my life was changed when I heard that vision because it answered a longing for there to be all humans playing together instead of hurting each other. So the Singing Tree Project, I would love to share a video about that. To if we can do that. If not, we'll add it to the link.
We can give it a try, Laurie.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to try to switch us to a different view just while we try this. If not, and then we'll go back to our regular view.
Yeah, I have a place on my end that says share.
Okay, and I have that too. And so let's see if if it lets you bring up
Yeah,
the video. So let's go
let's,
to it.
yeah, let me do
Note
that.
here and slides. So there's a video file and there's a share screen. I think maybe share screen. Would that
Yes.
give you the option? Let's try that.
Okay, let's try that. Okay, share screen. And now I'm going to choose this and see if I can share this on the screen. Yep, there it is.
Is it coming up for you?
Uh-huh. Hold on one second. There it is. Entire screen. I want to do a window, maybe. A window. Yep, here we go. And I want to make sure that the sound is on. And can you see that now? Can you
Yes,
see?
I can see it, but I can see your, let me add that to the stream. There we go.
Okay. Is it good to go?
Yes, it's good to go.
Okay, and can you tell me if you hear music? This is a 4-minute video.
Yes.
Okay.
We're good.
Mm. Now I have to get out of YouTube. Okay. And how do I stop sharing?
There
Okay.
we go.
Yay.
That was good. That worked.
Yes.
And hopefully I would remember how to do that if I have to again. That
Yeah.
was such a beautiful video. The images in it, were they all singing tree projects?
Yes. They were all singing tree projects, and each singing tree envisions a positive solution to community challenges.
And
And
these were all done by students?
they
The
were done
children?
by a mixture.
Okay.
Many times students are the lead design team, or there's an intergenerational lead design team. But sometimes adults have done it as well at NASA and at George Washington Center for Excellence in Public Leadership and FEMA and Department of Interior. It's a structure of a tree on the earth and space where the whole world's invited, and as much as possible, we invite the youth to take a leadership role.
Mhm. There was a comment, probably from a student, I would assume, in there, and it said, I see the earth as the singing tree of our galaxy.
Actually,
I really like that.
that was my experience when I first created the singing tree.
It
Yeah.
was reminding me of the new Webb telescope
Yes.
that's gone live,
Yeah.
and some of the interesting things it's picking up already. Different signals. And when I saw that comment, it just reminded me that I was just reading earlier today and looking at some images from the Webb
I've been looking at
telescope.
them as well. And the reason that the singing tree is not just close up, that it's hanging in space, is that the fact that we now know that our Earth is a blue jewel in the darkness of millions of miles helps us understand that we are one family, that we are one tribe, and we have had 3.5 million years of evolving where we only knew 170 people our whole lives. And they were our tribe. And we sang together and ate together and danced and told the stories and made images and took care of the children and elders. And anybody who was not of our tribe was often dangerous and life-threatening. So we have some very deep hard wiring because we knew so few people, and we knew the people we knew so intimately, to stranger danger. And we also have hard wiring for curiosity. And creativity is fed by curiosity. You can't be creative if you're not curious. And you can't be creative if you're not vulnerable, because both curiosity means you don't know. There's something that you don't know. And creativity means you're trying something that's never been done before so you can fail. So it's so important for our schools to support failure and curiosity and vulnerability in order to support the natural creativity that every child is born with. There's no
And I
such
would add
thing.
imagination to that
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
to keep the imagination ignited.
yeah.
Um, I was wondering about looking at especially the images of the students or children working on the art projects and the creativity. I'm wondering what you have found. It right in that video was telling us some of the benefits of creating art, like lowering cortisol and the actual physical, and then the emotional benefits. And so children that get to create art, how does that add to their self-confidence, uh, or what other benefits, and how do we create art so that children get to partake of it and you don't have to be an excellent artist to be included?
Beautiful. When we create, I believe creator flows through us and we have an endless abundance of ideas. It never stops. It's like, oh, I have had my last idea. No. And we come up against a problem, which human beings are always going to have tons of problems to be creative about, especially the generations that are right now following us.
Mhm.
And having that experience of seeing all those ideas that are there, just like the millions of seeds in a fig tree, and then communicating those ideas to somebody through drawing or writing or dance or poetry or music or a science research project, that allows a child to understand that their unique point of view is needed. And in an ecosystem, every organism has a role. In the human ecosystem, every human being has a gift that is needed by the world, more than one gift. And I've had students whose granddaddies were in prison, stepdaddies were in prison, and daddies were in prison, who by the fifth grade knew that they were a creative being. And they have chosen the path of getting a college degree and now being in the Air Force to get a master's degree in computer science, as well as keeping up drawing and painting. And the way that so much art is taught is this good, better, best model that is useless and it's destructive. It's actually child abuse. The the model of teaching that I believe in is that every child is gifted. We need the children to help us address the real problems that we are facing and experiencing. And if you have a room full of 30 kids, you'll have a room full of amazing ideas to help solve the problems that we're facing. And when we make art, we experience joy. Every singing tree that I've ever made has been full of joy, and you can feel it in the end result. And I learned from Brene Brown that joy is one of the most vulnerable feelings that there are because it can be taken away so fast. And joy is also the thing that will give us the strength to face tragedy. So we need a lot of joy.
Yeah, we could certainly use a big dose.
Yes. And children are a source of joy, and creativity is a source of joy, and nature is a source of joy. That's why I honor trees. And we often plant trees. Um, for the mahogany singing tree to reunite children with their families, that we made to honor the children who were still separated at the border in June of 2021, we were able to plant 2,000 mahogany trees in Guatemala, thanks to a wonderful organization called I Give Trees. And so it's the Singing Tree Project is a STEAM project that's multi-layered, multi-dimensional, and the whole world's invited to play.
That's such a beautiful way to address something that seems so tragic and so
Yep.
worrisome. And how do you find any redeeming parts to that? And it seems like through the art in the singing tree, it was a really good combination of trying to address a very serious issue with long term consequences. to kind of an immediate action. And as you're talking, it makes me think of how this teaches collaboration from a young age too. Then when you're working on an art project, everybody's bringing their unique self to it, but it's all needed to create the final
Exactly.
piece.
The images that we create could never have been created by one mind.
Mm-hmm.
And there is just a greater genius that happens. And we also use the mahogany singing tree to raise money for um, an organization called Kids in Need of Defense that reunited over 1,200 families. And since I can share, I would love to share an image of that mural with you. It was designed by 8th graders at Hearthstone School. And the design process is that each child makes an image of what they think the singing tree, what the elements should be in the singing tree. And then I put them together, or I'm training facilitators now. The facilitators put them together, and then we invite people to add leaves and birds as part of the story. And this is what the mahogany singing tree looks like, and it's about to share.
Let's see.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can. It's beautiful.
And one of the students, don't know if I can enlarge this. Maybe I can. One of the students thought of making the universe the aurora borealis, and we had never made the aurora borealis be what the universe holds. And another student thought that being separated from your family would be like being on an asteroid, like being separated from the earth. And let's see if I can move this. I guess I can't, but there you go.
That's really powerful. Very beautiful.
Thank you. And now I want to stop the share and stop sharing. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wow. I learned something.
Fun.
Okay.
So if children are not, and if adults are not allowed to express their creativity, it becomes malignant. Mm-hmm. Because also our creativity is where our soul lives. And if people can't express their souls, war happens. And I believe every school should be filled, the hallway should be filled with the expressions of the children's soul. And they can say, oh, look at I know more about Andrea because I see her painting, right? I see what's inside Andrea. And I've had kids that have been in conflicting groups, like skaters and rednecks, say, oh, I didn't know that he had that in him. A skater said about a redneck, and I've also brought together young people in Sarajevo whose parents had been in conflict in the 90s, and they created the Sarajevo singing tree of renewed togetherness. And they didn't want to put any continents on the world. They wanted to put music. They wanted to put musical notes on the planet. No frickin' boundaries.
Imagine.
Yes. All the people. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about working with children, because they sometimes, as adults, and certainly not all adults, because, a lot of us are looking for creative ways to solutions, but they see things differently because they haven't spent their entire life, in the same narrative or thinking of it in the same way. They have an openness and an imagination, using their imaginations in some ways that maybe, uh, if you've been living a certain way for a long time, you just don't have that same perspective.
Right. I love what Thomas More said in Care of the Soul, that the soul dwells in imagination. It dwells in place and it dwells in story. And
I've
those are,
always seen that creativity, as you had mentioned earlier, but as our divine, our connection to the divine. And, when we bring all those threads together, it's unstoppable. It's very empowering. Something that was in the video we watched, Laurie, was talking about feminine values.
yes,
And I find that very interesting. And some of the values that were put in there just, really went straight to my heart, in taking care of children and some of the other things that were in there. And I was wondering if you can talk about the importance of feminine leadership, especially in relation to today and, maybe the task that we're facing and how we might use feminine leadership to address
yeah.
some of those issues.
My sister wrote a wonderful book called Yin. Um, and there's a subtitle that I get wrong, but it's about completing the leadership journey. Her name is Lisa Marshall. It's a little workbook. And um, at the very end, she has a thing called Future Perfect, where she envisions what would happen if every realm of our society was balanced with yin and yang: the medical sector, the economic sector, the transportation sector, the military sector, the child rearing sector. Um, and we have a very uh, dominant yang culture. Our country spends trillions of dollars in weapons, as much as all the rest of the world combined, to protect. And the yang process of protecting often translates into destruction. The yin process of protecting translates into nourishing. Our our economic development has been based on basically extracting from uh, the earth. It's been to penetrate and remove and take from the earth, and that's a very yang process. And we women and feminine leadership, it doesn't have to come from women because we all have masculine and feminine in us. We need to use our power and our voice and to rise up and to say children are first. And that's why we need to pay teachers $125,000 starting salary. Anybody who stays at home should get $125,000 social benefit guarantee. Take the stress out of it. The teaching profession is underpaid and the nursing profession is underpaid. The things where we take care, that's partly because feminine energy comes out of the gift economy. We don't charge for every time we breastfeed our child, right? It is a gift of life that we bring into the earth. Um, uh, and uh, the market economy, where everything is parsed out and measured and valued, is the same thing that says when you make art, there's the best, the better, and the worst, and we have to measure you in hierarchy, in the hierarchy. And the measurement mind has great uh, functionality. It does allow us to build bridges and get to the moon. And it also is connected to not seeing the sacredness of life and treating it as a gift. And we need to rise up as never before, and not in the masculine way of attacking and denigrating. Well, maybe that's not masculine, because I've done that too. But in the in the I'm thinking I want to do it in the New Testament way, where we rise up to that challenge of loving our enemy, and of love being the most, leading with love. As Valerie Carr talks about it in her fantastic work in the Revolutionary Love Project, honoring that things are not okay, and using our creativity, using our love, using our connection, being interdependent, like the fungus that connects the trees to each other, and supporting life. Because right now we're supporting so much death. Death of the oceans, death of ecosystems, death of children.
Yeah, I think of it as, old story energy and new story energy. And I think we have an opportunity right now, perhaps as never before, that this new energy is here. And if we would connect to it and use it, we can create some of the things you were just talking about and change the story from the way it was forever.
Yeah.
And get it more in balance between the yin and the yang.
And the new story is, as Beth Bando, how I met you, said, that the new story is connection and illumination, and the old story is separation and control. And I just, the idea of our country, of liberty and justice for all, those 5 words, the most beautiful branding of any nation that was ever founded. And it was founded with great flaws. The enslavement, stealing bodies and stealing land from Native people. And we are working on making those words and our practice come together. It's very process. It's very at risk, and it's based on faith. It's based on faith in every human being having a right to be free, and to be justice. And that's what my work is about. That's my higher purpose. As the singing tree just shouts out, this is what happens when every voice matters. Something beautiful happens when every voice matters, not something mean and nasty and stuck, like Congress and the Senate.
There's such a, with the singing tree, just the images, there's such a coming together of that. You look at just the colors and the different images and how everything is blended. And I think that's a really good visual example of the way things can be if we just work towards that in a different energy than what we have in the past, using that new story, as you mentioned, what Beth had said, of connection and illumination. And that's such a nice way to think of it. Laurie,
is.
we are you're actually ending on a very good note in talking about the unity and the coming together. And I love how, children and students are working on these projects and, bringing that up. It's so beautiful, and your work is so important. And I want to thank you for sharing it. I did put a link under the video for, your information, the little video we watched, and some other
Thank you.
information. If anyone, I'm sure that there's a way to connect with you through the uh, Unity website
Yeah.
if they wanted to. So that's, if
And
anyone wants to.
all 108 murals are on the Unity Through Creativity website in the gallery section. And there are other collaborative mural projects that we do, as well as inner landscapes where we make wooden cutouts of children and ask them what brings them joy, what makes them feel useful, what's their favorite plant and animal, and then they paint it and put them around the school. So we want to get the soul creativity out into the world.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that I noticed when I was on the website is that the posters, at least some of them, I mean, some of the singing trees are posters.
Yes.
And so that was really nice to see, because they are so beautiful. So they're available as posters.
Thank you.
Keep that in mind. Laurie, I hope that we will be able to get together again. This is such an important topic, and I really enjoyed speaking with you. I want to mention that next week, Chelin Harkin is going to be the guest speaker, and she's a mystic poet. And her poetry is just beautiful, and it really addresses a lot of the feminine energy, I guess I would say. So I'm really looking forward to having her on as well. So I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone who is listening now or later. And I will say goodbye.
And thank you for having this space, this very important vessel to share soul creativity. Bye.
Bye, everyone.